Hi and welcome to Academic Compliance Academy of Law and Economics. So in this video I'm going to talk you through how you solve a strategic form games with the use of strict dominance. So let's just look at some definitions first. So a strict dominance solution is a solution where we observe the strategies of each party in or each player in the game and deduce the outcome of the game by looking at each party's preferred or strictly dominating strategy. So when we solve games through dominance, there are different levels, and this is the strictest one of them all because the rule of strict dominance is that no other strategy gives the same or higher output or payoff than this certain strategy. So when you have a strictly dominating strategy, it means that the output will always be higher, the payoffs will always be higher, no matter what other types of strategies you have. So let's look into the actual solution. So I brought up here classic 2x2 matrix. It's a strategic form game and it is Prisoner's Dilemma, so most of you might know it. Prisoner's Dilemma consists of two players each having two different strategies, A and B. So let's try to solve it. We will first start with player 1. Player 1 has two strategies, A and B. And when we look at the payoffs of player 1, it would be the first number before the division of the comma. So if player 1 chooses strategy A, he could get -1 if player 2 chooses A, or -10 if player 2 chooses strategy B. So when you look at player 1, you look at the rows and not the columns. If player 1 chooses B, he would therefore get 0 or -5. So when we look at these payoff, we might already be thinking, oh, there are differences, there might be a preference, and there is. Of course, strategy B is the preferred strategy because 0 is better than -1 and -5 is better than -10, which would be the alternative if he chose strategy A. Therefore, we can say that player 1 has a strictly dominating strategy in choosing strategy B. So keep that in mind and let's go to player 2. Player 2 also has two different strategies, A and B. So when we look at the payoffs in the game, player 2's payoff will be the payoff the number after the comma. So if he chooses strategy A, we will now look at the columns and he would get -1 on top or -10 in the bottom row. If he chooses strategy B, then it would be 0 or -5. So already here we might already think that there might be a priority, and there is, because as well as player 1, because it is a symmetric game, player 2 also has a strictly dominating strategy in choosing strategy B, because here he will get 0 instead of -1 and -5 instead of -10. So no matter what, strategy B gives him a higher payoff, not the same, a higher payoff than his or her alternative strategy. When we put all this together, we can say, okay, so what is the solution? Is there a solution to this game when we only look at strictly dominating strategies? And there is, because both parties have strictly dominating strategies. So the solution to this game would be that both parties, both players, choose strategy B. So thereby the solution by strict dominance is strategy BB, giving both players a payoff of -5 or -5. So you can say payoff, you can say output, it doesn't really matter, but this is what they get out of the game. So here we have solved a simple 2x2 matrix with strictly dominated strategies. You can try putting in more types of strategy, put in more numbers, try to play around with it and see if suddenly there aren't any strictly dominating strategies, but this is how you solve it, just simple and plain in a 2x2 matrix. So stay tuned, subscribe to this channel, and let's talk much more about law and economics.